Just over here chilling, just minding my business, watching the show. I'm watching the show, minding my damn business. Girl, so what I've been seeing is, have y'all been seeing? I've been seeing, girl, I've been seeing some of the people on, some of the contestants over there on Jaden's show, over there showing baby daddy some love, and she ain't feeling it. Then I seen some of the showing the other baby mama some love. I'm like, ooh, this getting messy. Somebody ain't gonna be coming back to the reunion. It's getting messy. And you know I don't like mess. I am not the one for no mess. Girl, it's getting messy up over there, honey. I've been getting text messages all day. I mean, it was a cute little song and everything, but goddamn, do everything gotta be about. But I mean, I guess if you was Stunner Girl, that's all you want to think about, child. She looked like a walking statue or something. But anyway, girl, yeah, they up over there. They up over there doing the most. Everybody is like it's a full moon or something. It's like it's a full moon. So anyway, I'm on the prowl for some new contestants, I guess. I'm on the prowl for 2-3 new contestants, according to the rumors. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. I've been trying to get me some rest and rejuvenation over here. Oh, yeah, that girl looked good in the hunt. In that first go around, he said, oh, this is too fine. This is too fine. She be done hurt my little feelings. Because you know that mama finding her, so I mean, you going to have to do something. Something about something. It's time to look for some people, honey. Jaden over there twisting up all her face muscles. I told her, girl, you can't be messing with your face muscles. Can't be messing with your face muscles. You'll get old and be stuck like that. They'll never be serious, but they having fun together. You know, sometimes that's all that matters, especially when you just got out of jail. You was just supposed to just chill out and have fun, do your kids, do your work. It's just, you know what I mean? I could never talk down on my kids. Girl, you's a lie. Where my mama's at? Girl, your grandmammy talked about you. My grandmammy talked about me, honey. We gonna talk about our kids. That's what we is gonna do. Down and up, okay? Around and down and back up again. And if you don't, you got some fake kids. Have I seen one of y'all talking about that? Well, they was probably salted. Do my kids look like the type of kids that would let somebody salt them? Girl, bye. Not from the boy or the girl, okay? They was whooping all my husbands up until I got Mr. Saffold. So ain't now one of them. You can't even play with them like that. They've been like that, ghetto and rough like that since they came out, okay? Them the kind of kids you look at and be like, no, I ain't touching them kids, okay? Them not the kind of kids. Okay, you look at Blue, Callie, and Dre, and you be like, okay, and I'm gonna take responsibility because half of my family is ziggity boo, and that's just what it is, okay? You gotta embrace your people, you gotta embrace your culture. But I'm sorry, my kids is not the type of kids that will still be walking around here talking about, yep, they assaulted me and I'm a victim. Girl, you got the wrong kids for that one. Now, did they get their beat? For sure. See, and let me tell you why. These is the kind of kids that will go downstairs from your house, down the stairs, where the cameras is all at their own house, and break the neighbor's antenna off his car. Break the neighbor's, and then won't tell me which one of them did it, honey. They gonna stick to the code. They gonna stick to the code. That man charged me $200 for that goddamn antenna on that old. I know you, sir, and I apologize again. Girl, but you know I went down there with my kids. Like, they didn't do Girl, you know us ghetto mamas. We like, they didn't do Girl, get upstairs and wear they out. Well, ma'am, I could see them on the camera. Well, your camera must be fuzzy. Because that ain't Callie, Blue, or Dre. Okay? That looked like somebody kid down the street. Matter of fact, I know which kid that is. Girl. Oh, stand right there by him. And be like, because you know we got to pay for that shit. We own up to it and be like, oh, sorry, sir. These some bad kids that Jesus gave me. Then you got to pay for that shit. And girl, I wasn't paying for it. I took that money out. But then he sent them paperwork talking about you going to have to pay me for that antenna. or I'm gonna call the cops. I said, oh, hold on, let me find $200, honey, because we don't play with the popo over here. Okay. Girl, then they went, oh, why you beat us? Why you break that man antenna on his car? Going downstairs, minding your own business, and just snatch the man's antenna off the goddamn car. To this day, I don't know which one of them did it. I did check on him. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. I've been checking on him all day. He don't want to talk, so we just wait for him to come around. As long as he's safe. Yes, I know everything, baby. Thank you. I know everything about everybody. Okay.
Just when you thought the apology era meant peace, healing, and everybody acting grown, Karlissa enters the chat like she never even heard the word closure. Because now we've got Karlissa going off with what the internet is calling messy. Shade after Nevaeh and Chrisean dropped a public apology that was supposed to cool everything down. Supposed to, keyword, supposed to. Instead, it feels like the apology didn't end the drama. It just unlocked a new chapter nobody asked for. And Karlissa, oh, she did not come in quiet. We're talking that sarcastic, sharp, I said what I said energy that instantly turns a calm situation into a trending topic before you can even refresh your feed. The kind of response where people stop scrolling mid-video like, wait, did she just say that after the apology? Because the moment her reaction hit the internet, everything split again. One side is saying she's just being honest, not fake forgiving anything that still feels unresolved. The other side is calling it unnecessary shade, saying the apology should have been the end of it. And then there's the third group, the ones just enjoying the chaos like front row spectators at a reality TV reunion fight that nobody can leave early. But here's where it gets messy. Because Karlissa's response isn't just about words, it's about timing, it's about tone. And it's about the fact that right after a public apology meant to de-escalate tension, the energy somehow flipped. Right back into conflict mode, and now the internet is asking the question nobody can ignore. Was that apology even accepted? Or was it just the beginning of another round of drama nobody saw coming? Because just when people thought the situation might finally calm down, a new reaction from inside the circle starts circulating. And it changes everything again. The apology was supposed to close the chapter. That was the whole point, clear the air, calm the tension, and let the internet finally breathe for once. Nevaeh and Chrisean stepped forward publicly, saying what looked like accountability, growth, and emotional maturity. For a brief moment, it actually felt like the storyline was wrapping up. But in this world, ending drama is usually just the beginning of the next wave, because the internet never really accepts peace. It waits, watches, and then finds the next angle to reopen everything again. And this time, that angle came in the form of Karlissa. No announcement, no build-up, no soft entry, just a reaction that instantly changed the energy. And suddenly, the apology didn't feel like closure anymore, it felt like a trigger. Karlissa's response hit the timeline like a spark in gasoline. What was supposed to be a calm moment of resolution turned into instant debate. People weren't even sure what they were reacting to at first. Was it shade, honesty, or just frustration? But that uncertainty didn't slow anything down. It actually made the situation spread faster across social media. Within minutes, comment sections split into opposing camps. One side said Karlissa was just being real, refusing to pretend everything was resolved when emotions still existed underneath. The other side said the apology should have been respected as an ending point, not a starting point for more commentary. And in between those two extremes were thousands of viewers just watching the chaos unfold in real time. Because nobody could fully agree on what the tone actually meant. And that's where things started escalating again. Because once interpretation enters the chat, facts stop being the main focus. Every clip of the apology started getting rewatched. Under a different lens, every pause suddenly looked intentional. Every word suddenly felt like it had double meaning depending on who was analyzing it. Karlissa's reaction became the center of everything, not because she said the most, but because she said it after the apology. And timing in internet drama is everything. A reaction before a moment is one thing, but a reaction after resolution is a whole different conversation. It shifts the meaning completely, even if nothing else changes. Repost pages picked it up immediately. Some framed it as messy shade. Others called it honest feedback. And a few just leaned into full chaos mode with exaggerated captions designed to ignite engagement. And just like that, the same moment started existing in multiple versions across different platforms. Each version slightly changed the tone, and each tone changed how people interpreted it. Fans didn't just react, they analyzed. They started comparing the apology to Karlissa's response side by side like they were decoding a hidden argument. Every facial expression became a clue. Every sentence became a potential contradiction. And every silence suddenly felt like it had meaning that nobody fully understood. Meanwhile, older drama between the same people started resurfacing. Old clips, old comments, and old tensions were suddenly dragged back into the present conversation. Nothing new had happened in those moments, but in viral culture, nothing ever stays in the past once it becomes relevant again. Everything gets recycled into the current narrative until it feels connected, whether it actually is or not. And that's exactly what happened here. Karlissa's reaction didn't just exist on its own, it got absorbed into a bigger storyline. A storyline the internet has been building for a while, where every apology, every argument, and every reaction becomes part of a larger emotional cycle that never fully resets. And once people start seeing patterns, everything begins to look intentional. Even neutral viewers got pulled in. People who weren't following the situation closely started seeing clips everywhere on TikTok, on Twitter, in reaction videos, and suddenly they were forming opinions without knowing the full background. That's how fast narrative spreads. When it hits peak virality, it doesn't need full context anymore. It just needs visibility, and visibility creates interpretation, and interpretation creates division. Now the conversation isn't just about the apology anymore. It's about Karlissa's reaction to the apology, and more importantly, whether that reaction reopens something people thought was already resolved. Because in this space, nothing stays finished for long. Everything eventually circles back. And this moment is no different. And just when it feels like people are settling into their opinions, a new wave of commentary starts forming in the background, suggesting that this reaction might not be as simple as it looks. The moment Karlissa's reaction fully settled into the timeline, the internet didn't slow down, it mutated again. Because this wasn't just another reaction clip anymore. It became a reference point that every side of the debate kept returning to, like it was the missing piece of a puzzle. And once that happens online, the situation stops being about what was said and starts being about how many different ways people can interpret it. Some viewers immediately locked into the idea that Karlissa was just speaking her truth. They said the apology didn't automatically erase everything that came before it. To them, her reaction wasn't drama, it was context. A reminder that real emotions don't always reset just because a public statement was made. And in that lens, Karlissa wasn't starting something. She was acknowledging what was still there. But the opposite side wasn't buying that at all. They said timing matters more than anything. And reacting after a public apology, especially with sharp tone or shade-like delivery, changes the meaning completely. To them, it didn't look like closure or honesty. It looked like continuation, like a storyline that refused to end even when the characters were trying to move forward. And that disagreement is exactly what kept the fire burning, because once two narratives form online, neither one fully disappears. They just compete for dominance across feeds, comment sections, and reaction videos. Then came the reaction economy. Creators rushed in immediately, some breaking it down like emotional psychology, others treating it like reality TV analysis, and a few fully leaning into chaos commentary just to ride the engagement wave. And each version of the story added a slightly different emotional filter. One creator said Karlissa sounded unbothered but pointed. Another said it felt calculated and intentional. Another insisted it was just frustration being misread as shade. And suddenly, the internet wasn't reacting to a single moment anymore, it was reacting to multiple interpretations of the same moment. That's where memes took over. Of course they did. One viral meme compared the situation to a reality show reunion where forgiveness gets interrupted mid-sentence by someone in the audience shouting, "I'm not done." Another turned it into a WWE-style graphic apology match versus shade response, no contest winner yet, and someone else made a fake cinematic trailer like it was a streaming series titled When Apologies Don't End Stories. End Stories. But underneath the humor, the contradictions started stacking up because different reposts of Karlissa's reaction weren't identical. Some edits emphasized certain words. Some clipped context before or after the statement. Some added dramatic music that completely shifted how the tone was perceived. And suddenly, audiences weren't even consuming the same version of reality anymore. They were consuming edited emotional angles, and that changes everything. Even celebrity-adjacent influencers started chiming in with vague reactions like interesting, timing, or didn't expect that. And in internet culture, vagueness is dangerous because it doesn't explain anything, but it invites everyone to assume everything. So now people weren't just debating Karlissa's words, they were debating what other people meant when they reacted to Karlissa's words. It became layered confusion. A reaction to a reaction to a reaction. And that's when the original apology started getting pulled back into the spotlight again. People rewatched it not to understand it but to compare it. Was it sincere? Was it complete? Did it actually resolve anything? Or was it just a moment that looked like resolution, but never fully functioned as one? And depending on who you asked, the answers were completely different. Supporters of Nevaeh and Chrisean said the apology shouldn't stand on its own. They argued that public accountability shouldn't be invalidated by later commentary. To them, Karlissa's reaction didn't erase the apology, it just added noise around it. But critics saw it differently. They said apologies in public drama ecosystems aren't just statements, they're events. And events don't end when they're spoken. They end when the surrounding energy agrees they've ended. And in this case, the energy clearly didn't agree. That's what made everything feel unstable. Because no matter how many times people tried to frame it as over, the conversation kept reopening itself through reactions, reposts, and analysis threads. And that's the cycle nobody can fully escape in viral culture. Every resolution creates a reaction. Every reaction creates interpretation. Every interpretation creates division. And division keeps the story alive. At this point, Karlissa's moment wasn't just being discussed, it was being mapped into the larger ecosystem of ongoing drama between these personalities. Old clips resurfaced, old tensions got reintroduced, and unrelated moments suddenly felt relevant again just because people were searching for patterns. That's how internet storytelling works now. It doesn't wait for confirmation, it builds structure first and ask questions later. And just as the conversation started reaching peak overload, a new angle began forming in the background of social media discussion. One that suggested this wasn't just about shade, or apology, or reaction. By the time the conversation hit its third wave, something strange started happening across social media. The intensity didn't explode again. It started looping. Same clips, same reactions, same arguments, just reserved in slightly different formats with new captions and new angles. And that's usually the point where viral drama begins to fade out naturally. But this situation didn't fade. It stabilized into repetition instead of resolution. Karlissa's reaction was still everywhere, but now it wasn't being treated as a fresh moment anymore. It became a reference point, something people used to restart debates whenever engagement dipped. Some viewers said she was justified, others said she crossed a line. But a growing group started pointing out something different entirely. Nothing new was actually happening anymore, just recycled interpretation. And that realization changed the tone slightly. Not enough to end the conversation, but enough to make it feel heavier, more reflective, and less reactive than before. Because now people weren't just debating Karlissa's shade, they were debating why the apology never stayed final in the first place. And that question opened a bigger conversation about how public apologies function in viral culture. In theory, an apology should close tension. In reality, online apologies often act more like pause buttons than endings. They slow things down, but they don't erase the emotional buildup that already exists in the background. And Karlissa's reaction became the exact example people kept pointing to when discussing that gap between intention and perception. Some fans started saying the apology was genuine but misunderstood in timing. Others said it was incomplete from the start, and Karlissa's reaction simply exposed that reality. And a third group stepped back completely, arguing that the internet was overanalyzing everything again and turning emotional moments into structured narratives that don't actually reflect real life in 10. And the third group made an important observation. The story wasn't evolving anymore, it was being reinterpreted repeatedly without new information. Still, the ecosystem kept moving. Commentary channels continued posting breakdowns. Reaction pages kept uploading clips with new titles, and meme accounts kept turning emotional tension into exaggerated humor formats to keep engagement flowing. Because in this space, silence doesn't end stories. It just gives them time to reappear in different formats. Meanwhile, the emotional fallout started showing in subtle ways. Some viewers admitted they were tired of the back and forth interpretations. Others said they couldn't even track the full timeline anymore without seeing multiple conflicting versions of the same situation, and a large portion of casual viewers were just watching fragments, brief clips, captions, reactions without ever seeing the full context. That's how narratives become unstable, not because something new happens, but because too many versions of the same moment exist at once, and Karlissa's reaction became one of those moments. A single clip now interpreted in multiple emotional directions depending on where and how it was seen. Then came the shift no one expected. Instead of focusing on who was right or wrong, people started focusing on why every apology in this space seems to reopen tension instead of closing it. And that shift turned the conversation inward, away from individuals and toward the structure of viral celebrity conflict itself, because patterns were becoming visible. Apology gives reaction, gives reinterpretation, gives division, gives recycled debate. And once people recognize a pattern, they can't unsee it. But even with that awareness, the cycle didn't stop. It just slowed. The conversation became less aggressive, more analytical, less reactive, more observational, but still active. And that's the key detail. It never fully ends, it just changes emotional form. Karlissa's reaction, once seen as messy shade, now exists in a more complex space depending on who is interpreting it. For some, it's closure that didn't land. For others, it's honesty that disrupted a forced ending. And for many, it's just another example of how quickly internet narratives evolve beyond their original moment. But the most important realization came quietly. The apology wasn't the end of the story. Karlissa's reaction wasn't the beginning of a new one. They were both just points in an ongoing cycle that keeps resetting every time attention returns. And just when it feels like the conversation is finally settling into understanding, new clip begins circulating again in the background, suggesting there might still be context people haven't fully connected yet. And that hint alone is enough to keep the cycle alive one more time. Alright, now I need your opinion on this, because this whole situation is officially split down the middle, and nobody is agreeing on what actually happened. Was Karlissa really just speaking her truth after the apology, saying what everyone else was thinking but didn't say out loud? Or did her reaction turn its supposed closure moment into another unnecessary wave of tension that reopened everything all over again? Because the internet is fully divided right now. One side is saying she didn't do anything wrong, an apology doesn't erase feelings overnight. The other side is like, that apology was supposed to end it, not restart the whole conversation. And in the middle of all that, Millions of viewers just watching the cycle repeat itself like it's a never-ending reality show episode that refuses to cut to credits. So drop your take in the comments. No neutral answers. No sitting on the fence. Pick a side. Are you team Karlissa kept it real, or team she should have let the apology stand? And let's be honest, you didn't just scroll past this like it was nothing. You watched the clips. You saw the reactions. You probably even rewatched the apology at least once, trying to figure out what everyone is arguing about. That means you're already part of this conversation, whether you plan to be or not. So go ahead, smash that like button like it owes you money and has been dodging accountability for 3 business days. Hit it like this entire drama hit the timeline out of nowhere and refused to leave. And if you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out on the fastest breakdowns of viral chaos, celebrity drama, and internet storylines that spiral faster than anyone can fully explain. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay locked in, because the next reaction, apology, or explosion is already loading somewhere online. And remember, here at Fame Flaws, we don't just cover the drama. We break down how fast closure turns into the next headline.